I do not think we should have ICE raids that terrorize our communities. Is that what you're asking?
Ilhan Omar, who was voted into power, voted into Congress by a large group of people from Somalia, who are in Minnesota, which is really far from Somalia.
These people ought to all be put in jail, including the politicians.
Is that too much to ask as an American citizen these days who pays taxes and who does not defraud the system? I mean, how are we supposed to get ahead these days? Are we supposed to be third worlders who defraud the system? Is that what it takes to get ahead? Is that the American dream now? Ladies and gentlemen, Ilhan Omar is starting to feel the heat. The walls are closing in. And when you're someone like Ilhan Omar, you would think keeping a low profile would be in your best interests. But no, Ilhan Omar has a big mouth and she's not exactly known for her brilliance. And I know Donald Trump calls Jasmine Crockett low IQ Crockett, but I personally think he should add low IQ Omar to the list because what she's been doing lately is anything but smart. She's been drawing attention, not just to herself, but to her entire community. And this is the same community that somehow managed to pull off the largest fraud scheme in Minnesota state history, and they're starting to pay for it big time now. So you would think that alone would be enough to make her take a step back, maybe show a little shame. But no, she keeps on pushing her radical agenda like nothing ever happened. And because of that, scrutiny is ramping up not only on her community, but now on her personally. Ilhan Omar has skeletons in the closet, and more people are starting to notice. Members of Congress are now openly calling for investigations, calling for her arrest, even using the word treasonous, because once they start digging through her past, they don't like what they find. But before we get into all of that, I want to point something out. Every time Omar gets hit with criticism, she instantly deflects. Suddenly, Trump is terrorizing her community. Suddenly, Trump is obsessed with her. Maybe that worked before, but now even Senator John Kennedy and Elon Musk are saying this is unacceptable, and they are going after her big time. Someone like Omar has got to go, and we're about to get into exactly why. But first, take a look at this. Ilhan Omar's latest attempt to claim her community is being terrorized instead of addressing the real questions. Why does her district have such a high number of legal immigrants? Why did her community steal billions of dollars from the American taxpayer? Instead of answering these questions, look what she has to say about Donald Trump doing what the people voted for him to do. Take a look.
Do you agree with your Minneapolis mayor candidate, Omar Fahid, that we should block ICE from deporting illegal aliens in Minneapolis?
It's Omar Fatah.
Fatah?
Yeah.
I didn't know. Thank you for correcting. But do you agree with his positions on blocking ICE from deporting illegal immigrants in Minneapolis?
I do not think we should have ICE raids that terrorize our communities. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have a good day.
You too.
Oh, give me a break. Notice her little smug little face when she says, it's Omar Fatah. Listen, Ilhan Omar, whatever your name is, you brother marrying Congresswoman embarrassment on the United States. You know, we are American here. So a little smug little smirk while you correct someone about the way to say a Somali name. What a absolute. Oh, I'm not going to say what I think she is. But ladies and gentlemen, I mean, this just goes to show. She cares not at all. Nothing. Nilch. Zilch. However you say it. She cares not a bit about how much of a burden her community is on the American taxpayer. All she cares about is trying to push through radical agendas and trying to paint Donald Trump as somehow a Nazi or paint his administration as the Third Reich or something like that. Because now the microscope is on her, and instead of trying to address the issues, she simply wants to deflect. But the fact that herself and her entire Somali community have been such an unbearable burden on the American taxpayer has not gone unnoticed in the Senate. Senators are finally starting to pay attention. And one of my favorites, hands down, one of the funniest and frankly, one of the most effective senators out there, John Kennedy, he just blew the door wide open on what Minnesota officials have been doing. He flat out said billions of taxpayer dollars stolen. This is criminal. People need to start getting arrested. And of course, right in the middle of all of this is Ilhan Omar. Look at the people around her. They're dropping like flies. Indicted, convicted, sent to prison, one after another. And somehow she walks away unscathed? Absolutely not. Take a listen to John Kennedy here. Take a listen to what he has to say about this situation. Absolutely brilliant.
It is disgusting, Mr. President. Disgusting. We're trying to put together a budget right now. And we've got state officials in Minnesota, because they wanted votes, that are allowing people in their state who are crooks to steal $1 billion from the American taxpayer. Money that could have gone to people who really were homeless, and children who really were hungry, and kids who, through no fault of their own, really were autistic, instead of stolen, a portion of which allegedly was sent to a terrorist organization in Somalia. Man, these people ought to all be put in jail, including the politicians. Makes me want to stick my head in an oven. It is disgusting.
And then finally, this brings us to Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. He is starting to take notice of what is going on with Ilhan Omar. Like I said, she's not too smart. She should pretty much keep a low profile. You know, when your community, your district gets caught stealing billions of dollars, the largest scam in history in Minnesota, you should probably keep your head down. But now she has caught the attention of the richest man in the world. And he's starting to say, yeah, you know, she doesn't represent the American people at all. She's there only to represent the Somali community. That's how she was voted into office. And now you have this community that's a massive voting bloc, and people are starting to represent their interests exclusively over the interests of Americans, over the interests of Minnesotans, like real Minnesotans who were born here, third, fourth, fifth generation Americans. They're starting to put this Somali voting bloc over these Americans. Take a listen to what Elon Musk has to say here.
Well, let's look at, Ilhan Omar, who was voted into Congress by, a large group of people from Somalia who are in Minnesota, which is really far from Somalia. Or Mamdani, who was voted to be mayor, but by a majority of people who are not born in America. Yeah, that's my understanding, at least. And then California is a big time situation. So I don't know. We just don't want to turn into a communist hellhole, basically.
You see, what Elon Musk is pointing out here is kind of a larger trend of what is going on in some of these kind of bigger cities. Some of these cities that became sanctuary areas for these third world migrants. It is no surprise that they are voting against the interests of the people, of the American people. All of a sudden, Americans find themselves in a position where they don't have a whole lot of power. They don't have a whole lot of control over what happens to their land. But instead, outsiders come in and rip it from their grasp, and politicians do absolutely nothing at all. In fact, they are complicit in this giant takeover from the third world. They play right into it because they are power hungry and they are disgusting. And Elon Musk, he doesn't just call it disgusting, he calls it treasonous. Right here, Ilhan Omar, and this is in Somalian, so you can't understand it, but there are subtitles. Take a look at this. Ilhan Omar says the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders. Excuse me? And this is what Elon Musk said. He retweeted this, and he said, this sounds treasonous, and it absolutely does. Take a listen to this. My answer to Somalians was that the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow. They must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interests of Somalia. We Somalians must have that confidence in ourselves and that we call for the shots in the United States. We live in the U.S., pay taxes in the U.S., and have a real voice. And, unfortunately, that is true. They do have a real voice, unfortunately, and they do pay taxes. But I think the last figure I saw was like $57 million in taxes are paid by the Somali community. Yet they perpetuated a $1 billion fraud, at least a $1 billion fraud, estimates up to $8 billion. So I'm pretty sure we can safely say that America is in the hole with this community. But let's continue this video. The U.S. is a country where one of your daughters, myself, is in Congress to represent your interests. So notice she's saying here, she's not representing the interests of Americans or even just, Somalis who happen to live in America, American Somalis, kind of like African-American, American Somalis. She is there to represent the interests of a foreign country, Somalia. Wait, excuse me? Why is a representative from Minnesota saying this? Because it's true. She's not there to represent Americans. She's there to represent third world country Somalia. And she says, for as long as I'm in the U.S. Congress, Somalia will never be in danger. Its waters will not be stolen by the Ethiopian others or others. The U.S. would not dare to support anyone against Somalia to steal our land or oceans. Sleep in comfort knowing I am here to protect the interests of Somalia from inside the U.S. system. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is what Elon Musk called treasonous. Sounds like treason. And you know what? Kind of sounds like treason to me too. How in the hell is this woman a representative in the United States of America? Please tell me. Every day something else comes out about Ilhan Omar that just makes me shake my head. Like, how is this happening? This is not the United States I thought I lived in. This doesn't represent the interests of Americans. This is someone who is representing solely a foreign country. And it blows my mind and it boggles me, almost renders me speechless. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. That this is allowed to happen is such an outrage. And the fact that her community just got caught with this massive fraud just makes it even worse. And the fact that the Senate and the House of Representatives and the DOJ are not demanding answers, are not rushing to investigate not just this whole situation. I know they're investigating the fraud, but the fact that they are not basically trying to impeach Ilhan Omar is a total outrage. It boggles the mind. Impeach her. Find the ties. Who cares about using political leverage and all that? Because that's usually what happens when these people find themselves in hot water. They let it go and they use this leverage as a bargaining chip to get them to vote or do what they want them to do. Throw all that aside. We're sick of it. We're sick of having a third world controlled congresswoman in Minnesota. Americans want to be represented by Americans or someone at the very least who doesn't have foreign allegiance to a third world country or any country for that matter. Is that too much to ask? Is that too much to ask as an American citizen these days who pays taxes and who does not defraud the system? I mean, how are we supposed to get ahead these days? Are we supposed to be third worlders who defraud the system? Can we then survive and have a abundant lifestyle where we can buy vehicles and food and have a big house? Is that what it takes to get ahead? Is that the American dream now? Are we just behind on the times? But ladies and gentlemen, I will end my rant there. But let me know what you think about all this down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. But until then, I'll see you on the next one.